Welcome back to the podcast, folks. In a second, we'll crack on with this week's guests. But first, a big thanks to this week's podcast sponsors, who are Ultimate Add-ons. Now, Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles, with a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your devices safe, secure, and easily accessible. The Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider, from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within reach to take photos of your travels at the same time? Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. I've been using their kit since around about 2017, 2018, and I've never had any issues with vibration affecting the camera. Loads of you ask me that. I use the Helix strap mount, which you'll find in their bicycle section, and it just allows me to connect the case to just about any bike out there. If you head to ultimateaddons.com, links down below, use the code TeapotOne with the number 10, TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off their entire range, including Dango Design, which is the gripper mount one as well. Again, you'll get 10% off with the code TeapotOne10. So massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons for their continued support. We are also sponsored by the Influencer Store. Now, if you've bought any of my merch over at TeapotOne.com, modeling one of the Live Your Life shirts here, then you'll know the quality of the Influencer Store products is right up there. That's why I've gone with them. They're better than a lot of the online printing type options that you get out there. I've used them in the past. The t-shirts only last a couple of washes and then they start shrinking or falling apart, or the print starts fading off. That's why I've gone with the Influencer Store, because their quality is right up there. They're UK based. You have any issues, drop them a line and they'll sort it for you. Got a little readout for them. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. A massive thank you to Roger and Charlotte for their continued support over at the Influencer Store. Folks, if you have a brand, a product, or a company and you'd like to sponsor the podcast, drop me a line, info@teapotone.com anytime. The podcast itself is going sky high at the moment. We are consistently top 5, if not top 3 motorcycle podcasts in the UK. The podcast itself gets around 10 to 15,000 downloads a month at the moment. Believe it or not, that puts Brew Time in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, not that far off the top 5%. Speaking of which, folks, if you're enjoying listening to the podcast, can I ask you to tell everyone you know about it, help spread the word, share it with your mates. And if you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can leave a rating there, and that really does help boost it up with the respective algorithms and helps get it promoted elsewhere. It also helps it get moved up the charts a little bit. And all of you over in the clan over at patreon.com/TeapotOne, I literally could not be doing this without you. You keep a roof over my head. Thank you very much for all your support. Right, let's get back to the podcast. Right, folks, welcome back to Brew Time. This week, we're in the presence of a legend. If you've never heard of Dylan Wickrama before, where have you been? Dylan is, I hate to use the term, like a god is probably too big a word, Dylan, but in the overland circles, you are, you set yourself aside from anybody else. There's plenty of us who have ridden around the world, but you've done something which, to my knowledge, there's not a living, well, nobody else, dead or alive, that we know of has attempted or done what you have done. So can I throw the floor open to you just to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go.
Yeah, I guess we'll be talking quite a lot in this session. I hope.
Yes.
So I guess, as we go on, you will get to hear, who I am, and I think you introduced me as Dylan Wickrama. You know what Wickrama means?
No, I don't know.
Because I come from Sri Lanka. That's my Sri Lanka is my birth country, and although I live and call Switzerland my home at the moment. So in Sinhalese, that is my language. Wickrama means the adventure.
So you were literally born into it.
Yeah. It's not my fault. So I don't know anyone in my family who is adventurous.
Okay.
So I guess I had to come up with an idea. I thought I have to live up to that name. No.
So
no, actually, my full name, my surname, I had to shorten my Wickrama is not. It's only a part of my surname.
Got you.
My full surname is Samara Wickrama. So living in Switzerland with such name, not only Switzerland, I think in Europe, it's too many letters.
It's a mouthful. Yeah.
It's a mouthful. Exactly. So now I engage in a lot of public activities. I would work as a speaker, and I do talks here there. So the present people find it difficult to pronounce that name. Mm-hmm. So I came up with the idea, let's make it easier for European folks. So I just halved it. So Samara means Samara Wickrama. It's together. It means the colorful adventure.
Wow.
So I just chop that colorful away. Just keep the adventure.
It was certainly colorful what you did. Can you tell people? Basically, 2010, you set off to ride around the world. So what was the plan? Or was there a plan?
Well, there was a plan. The plan was to ride around the world with my motorcycle. That was one of my childhood dreams. Mm-hmm. But there was a secondary element to that. That was I was kind of on the lookout for the meaning of life. Mm-hmm. I was searching to find who I really was, or was there a purpose to life and all that.
Yep.
So it was a kind of a spiritual journey. It wasn't inspired by anybody, because I didn't know anyone like travelers going around the world on motorcycles, because I simply didn't know. Actually, it was like it was about a year later, a year after I started my journey. I was in India, and there somebody gave me this Ted Simon's Jupiter's Travels.
Yeah, the Bible.
He was reading it. It was in Goa, in a small restaurant, and this guy saw me and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him I'm going around the world, and he said, "Look, I'm reading a book. Have you ever read this?" So I was like, I didn't know who Ted Simon was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it was a spiritual journey, and I wanted to just enjoy myself, seeing the world at the same time, to find out who I really was.
Now, is that something you'd always felt? You'd always felt that you wanted to do something like this, or was it like a yearning, a fire that grew with age? Because I know for me, it was never really there till I was in my, I would say, mid to late 20s, and then I started to think, is this it? There has to be more out there, and the dream of travel started, building in my head. And then motorbikes came on the scene, and I put the two together. What about for you?
Actually, I wanted to travel around the world on a motorcycle. I think probably I must have been about 12. One of my neighbors had a small motorcycle, it was a 50cc CD Honda. So he gave me a lift, or he took me somewhere, and I really fell in love with motorcycling at the time. And I told myself, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go around the world with a motorcycle. But we dream, and we have these grand ideas when we are kids. But as we get older, we tend to forget them. I always say we just bury our dreams in order to, climb up the social ladder. The security, the future becomes much more important than living a happier life, doing what your heart wants to do. So no, I never really thought about traveling around the world in later life. My world tour I started when I was 40. So up until that point, I had done some long journeys, like I would say shorter journeys, like going from Europe to India, or from here to Morocco. Twice I went to Syria, and such smaller journeys, like they didn't last longer than a couple of months. But it never came to my mind to do a world tour until I got busy with this question: what am I doing? Because I came kind of, I was disillusioned with life. The more I try to make sense of life, I found it, a futile thing. It's like you're born, and after a few years you die, and is that it? I was born as a Buddhist. Later on, I tried other religions as well, God and the church, but I guess I never found anything that answered my question, or really satisfied my inner emptiness. So so you could say that I went around the world looking for an answer. So that took a.
I think, sorry to interrupt there, there's a little bit of a delay here. I think a lot of us sort of have a similar yearning, a similar question burning away. Like, it's almost like a midlife crisis, isn't it? Like, is this it? There must be more? What's the point? There has to be something else out there. And I'm going to ask you about the answer to that later on in this, for sure.
Okay.
So you set off, and is it right? Your whole journey took till 2013, and you did
2014.
2014. My apologies. You did, was it 80 countries over 130,000 miles, 200 odd thousand kilometers?
Around 80 countries with on that tour. Yes.
Now, I mean, just that trip in itself is epic. And I could chat to you for 2 or 3 hours just about that trip by itself. And, it's almost a travesty that we're not going to focus on all that. We're going to focus on this incredible section of your journey, which, I mean, it it deserves, I'm sure they will make a Hollywood film about it. I'm sure somebody will get to grips with this and make, I mean, your film itself, which, folks, if you're watching or if you're listening at the moment, I'll check out the show notes and I'll leave a link there for the actual film, When the Road Ends. It's a film. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free now. I actually bought it a couple of years ago on Amazon and watched it there. And you now have an edited version. It's pretty much the same one, I think, isn't it? That's on YouTube now. Folks, you have to watch this. It's absolutely incredible. As concise as I can possibly put it before we actually get into this, most people, when they come to a section of road called the Darien Gap, which separates Central America and Southern America, it's about 100 miles of jungle, which is almost impenetrable. There's no road whatsoever. So most people, they either do what I did, chuck the bike on a plane, fly it over, or you find a boat somewhere, you put it on a boat. There's like sailing yachts almost that you can charter, and it's a 5 or 6 day barbecue party as they sail across the Caribbean. So it's a well-trodden route for overlanders. Now, Dylan chose not to do that. Dylan, can you tell people what you elected to do?
Actually, I was always under the impression that that you could ride from basically from Alaska all the way down to Patagonia in Argentina.
Right. Uh-huh.
Because that road, the Pan American Highway, it's supposed to be the longest motorable road in the world. I think it's even in the Guinness Book of World Records. Mm-hmm. And only later on, when I met this guy in Canada, when he told me that you have to find a boat well in advance. To take my bike across the Caribbean Sea towards Colombia, I didn't believe him because I said, no, you're kidding me, because because I know that there is a road which is the longest motorable road in the world, which is Panamericana. And he said no, because he had done that journey a couple of years earlier. So he knew what he was talking about. And I couldn't believe it, First of all, how could anyone lie like that? Like, fool people, they fool the adventurers, that there's a road goes from Alaska down to Argentina, which is not true. But of course, there was another a childhood dream of mine, which was to build a raft and go out into the ocean. Just to I mean, I was on that journey. I had already fulfilled my dream of traveling the world on a motorcycle. But then, all of a sudden I was presented with this new adventure on a platter. Hey,
with an opportunity to take the other adventure off.
Exactly. So, I know it was a wild dream, and I kind of felt that I needed to. I mean, if there was a ferry service, I would have certainly taken that. There's no question about it.
Would you?
Because
would you have done that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I did that quite a lot in Indonesia, for instance. I rode all the way from all through all the Indonesian islands until Dili in East Timor. Before I went to Australia. Yeah. So that, I mean, it wasn't something that occurred to me when I heard the story behind the Darien Gap, that there is this problem, this jungle, and there are no ferries. So basically, I was told that you have to go and look for a boat, which is it's not an easy thing to do. First of all, you have to go to this criminal city called Cologne, which can be pretty dangerous. and you might have to spend a few weeks there, if you're unlucky. That's the story I heard. So I thought, wow, there's this new opportunity to do an adventure. I mean, I could just legitimize my craziness.
And boy, was it crazy, because you effectively, you built yourself a raft out of some oil drums, some metal and some bamboo. And then you turned your bike, the best bike in the world, by the way, the BMW GS, you turned that into an outboard engine. Yeah. And then set sail across the Pacific.
That's right. That's what I did. I thought, it was
as you do,
an easy thing to do. I mean, it wasn't I was not trying to cut costs or anything like that. I mean, building your own raft and going to Colombia was cheaper than, finding a boat. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that aspect at all. It was more the adventure spirit. I think. I think we. People who watch my movie, or I think a lot of people find it, just like what you said. You thought it's a fantastic story, fantastic film, but now and then you find a person or two, they just shake their head and they'd say, you are an idiot, But people forget that we need, it is within us, in human beings, this adventure spirit. I think it is the adventurers who changed this world.
Absolutely.
It's not the people who always played safe. Never ventured out and put themselves into expose themselves to dangers. They are not the people who changed this world. I mean, people just look back 100 years ago, like when the Wright brothers. I mean, even before Wright brothers, people dreamt of flying, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't because they wanted to transport passengers. They just saw these birds flying around, and they thought, wow, how wonderful is it to fly and get that feeling.
Yeah.
And it was simply that. So people tried it. In the meantime, some got killed, but look how far we have come. We have even, reached the moon, Mars, and we are even, going beyond. So it is the adventurous. So I think, those people, those folks who want to see the negative side of adventure, I can only say that, no, we need adventurers, and I think we need to keep that spirit going.
Absolutely.
Maybe, yeah.
There's a beautiful quote by you at the start of your film. It comes up on the screen, and it says, "Those who attempt the impossible often see wonders." That really struck a chord with me. I love that quote. Is that something? Did you think of that yourself, or have you seen that elsewhere? Because it's beautiful.
No, that's what I found. Because on that journey, I saw miracles. I saw wonders. Why did I see wonders? Because I did something unthinkable, something people wouldn't dare doing. So, later on, when I found myself, struggling to navigate in the ocean, when I found myself adrift, not knowing in which direction I was going, And all of a sudden, a pod of dolphins show up, and they started guiding me. I mean, how many people can tell that my life has been saved by a pod of dolphins?
Folks,
and
you need to watch this. Sorry to interrupt, Dylan, but you need to watch this film, because there are so many sub-stories within even this one story of your epic journey across the Pacific. There are so many stories within that, like the dolphin showing up when the shark made an appearance, and it's like the dolphins almost were trying to protect you from this massive shark. That thing must have been huge, because you see it on your footage and it's out towards the horizon, yet it's still a big old fin. It's still a big fish in the water. And in between that fin and Dylan on his raft is this pod of dolphins that just showed up. And then again, I mean, I was going to come to this later on, but we may as well hit this now. There was something in you that made you decide, I'm going to follow them. And then I really loved the way in the film how there's like a dolphin behaviorist. He's cut in to say that dolphins possess a part of the brain which only humans, dolphins,
elephants,
and elephants possess, which allows them to feel empathy. That's incredible, isn't it? So it's highly likely that, like, these dolphins showed up at a point when you were at a very low point in that journey. Is that right? And it's almost like they must have detected your despair and effectively showed you the direction to land, because you were adrift in the Pacific on your way to the Galapagos. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've never been a sailor, and in fact, I never even rowed a boat on a lake up until that point. So
I love it. I love this story.
To find yourself, the biggest ocean on the planet with 10 oil drums and a motorcycle which wasn't working properly,
which broke down on day 6, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just said there are lots of stories in this one story.
Unbelievable.
But Bruce, I never dreamt of making a film. I never thought of, like, even though I had a camera, before I started my journey, I bought a camcorder for $150.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to. I wasn't a cameraman. I just filmed here a little bit, there a little bit, and like, probably when I reached Africa, I stopped filming altogether. I just didn't make any footage. And then I was thinking about buying a GoPro. I think the GoPro Hero 2 had come out the time. And I was like, whenever I saw that thing at a window, in a camera shop or wherever, I was like, I'd love to have that, but decided against it every time because it was a lot of money. And I thought, I'd rather spend that money traveling around the world than buy a camera, and at the end of the journey you don't know what you're going to do with that footage, right? Because I thought the best I could do is to show my family that, or friends, but even that. So 2.5 years later, when I was in Canada, somewhere in Edmonton, I think, I bought that camera, the Hero 2. That was like 2.5 years after I had started my journey. Right?
Wow.
So I was so lucky that I had that camera while doing that raft journey. Otherwise, I would not have been able to capture any of those moments.
So that's all filmed on the GoPro?
Not everything, half with that $150 worth of camcorder and the GoPro. I mean, you can't compare the GoPros nowadays and the GoPros in 2012 or 2000. Yeah, it was 2012. Because, they have made.
These are the ones I had. My journey was 2012 to 2014. That's a Hero 1. Right. That's the Hero 2. And that's the 3 Plus. I got that in Australia because I was sick and tired of these breaking all the time. They never worked. So I'm amazed yours actually worked. And wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, well, you've got 3 of them.
yeah. I've got a lot of GoPros now. Yeah, it's my livelihood, so I have lots of GoPros now.
Yeah, so when I so I'm very happy. I'm very lucky that I thought of making a film later on. It was like I ended my journey in 2014, and then 2016, I met a guy an Austrian guy. He invited me to his place, and he organized a talk at a local pub there in Austria. And then he saw some of my video clips, and he said, "Hey, Dylan, you have to make a film out of this." And I said, "No, how can you make a film out of this? It's really rubbish." But of course, you don't notice that, right? When you're watching that film, actually, I get complimented how wonderful how beautiful the pictures are. Because I think that the story is such a tremendous one. People forget how bad the picture quality is.
From my opinion on that is that I think the sort of, I don't want to say this in a derogatory manner because my trip is filmed on a GoPro and it is very amateurish, my footage, because I was like you, I had no idea about filming, I had no idea about editing, so I very much learned on the hoof, on the way. But the sort of the homemade POV style of your footage almost adds to the feeling of empathy that the viewer has with you, and the feeling of like it's just you out there. When the footage of you on the raft when you're out there, it's like, oh my God, this guy is effectively heading out into the middle of the ocean in the Pacific with nothing. It's just him on a raft with a motorbike and a camera in his pants. There's a lot of you in your pants.
No, but, it's still like, I have shown this film in cinemas, right? I have shown it on big screens. So that's what I mean, like even to project such a such bad quality, you think it is bad quality on a massive big screen. You don't really notice that it is like, it's a GoPro. Even you are surprised now. Like you asked me, everything is filmed in the GoPro.
Yeah, I was. I mean, because the GoPros were like 720, weren't they? I mean, the cutting edge was 720 resolution, which is crazy now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. So, I feel like we've missed out so much here. I mean, there was so much in the build-up to you even setting sail, because you met was he a Frenchman called Jacques, the guy at the sort of port in Panama, who effectively helped you, and a crew of people helped you build the yacht. And was it right? You did a sort of test sailing in the Panama Canal after he acquired you a sail. He disappeared one night because you didn't have a sail.
So actually, with that story, I forgot to mention actually the reason why I came up with that, that I wasn't intending to make a film. So what happened was, a lot of the things that I experienced, the things that I encountered on the road, the people I met, and these little stories, I never filmed.
Wow.
So, there are so much to be told if only I had filmed it.
Yeah.
So, but in hindsight, Martina, my wife, she keeps telling me, Dylan, it's a good thing that you didn't have so much footage, because otherwise this film would be, you have too many choices and you would just mess up the whole film,
Yeah.
So now you had that, very little film material, and you used it, to create something wonderful. So, which is true. So I met, not only Shark, I met some other characters in Panama City, Shark, and there's another guy called Laszlo, and Jerome, and they're all dodgy characters, who helped me in any case, even with a sail, which was, I will not spoil those who want to watch the film, I think,
don't ask where it came from.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved how he said, I look at it. What's he say? He said, this is Jack. He said, I look at it like a Robin Hood thing. And it was left at that.
Yeah. And he also said, that's what you call, it's also recycling, no? His way of recycling thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I loved it. So you set sail then from Panama, and 6 days, you were very much, what astounded me was that you had I remember you saying you had no maps or anything like that, and you had a compass on the raft, and you were using a very, very early version of a GPS device. So this isn't like what GPS, we know now, is it?
62, I think, called Map 62 or something. So it's an older version of that, what you could buy in 2000. When did I buy it? I think 2009 or something.
Yeah.
And that I didn't even have maps installed in that GPS. So I had that, what they call the base map.
Uh-huh.
So literally, as I was going around the world, what I did was I just, when I was, wherever you're heading, I went to Google and got the coordinates. I put the coordinates into my GPS, and it just showed me with an arrow this direction.
Follow that arrow.
Yeah, exactly. So it was quite exciting traveling like that,
Yeah.
Because you don't need you obviously end up going the wrong way, but when you're traveling the world, you don't get lost. You make new discoveries, right? It's as simple as that. So I
agree. I agree when you're on land, because there's a certain amount of constraints when you're on land, but when you're on the edge of the Pacific Ocean, and one wrong move can send you. Well, literally, if you'd gone by Galapagos Islands, what's the next stop? Is it Hawaii?
Next would have been Brazil or Caribbean islands in I don't know.
No, not going out that way. Yeah, it would have been somewhere like Australia. Next one, Australia. Hawaii. After that, yeah.
Is it Hawaii?
No,
I always wanted to go to Hawaii actually.
It's going to go back. Yeah, Hawaii's off the west. Yeah, it's out that way.
It's Hawaii, yeah. But
it's maybe a little bit further north.
Yeah. But the thing is, the GPS worked. It wasn't so much. There was a problem with the GPS. It was I did not have enough speed for my GPS to work properly.
Yep.
That was my problem. because there is if you look at, like, when you're using your phone, to guide you somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maps, and sometimes you don't know which way to go until you go a few steps.
Start moving. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So basically, that's what happened on the ocean. Like when you're too slow, my GPS had a accuracy. The accuracy was like 15 meters or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I think it was like something like that. So if you're not moving fast enough, it can't detect where exactly you are, your position. So it just tells you, it thinks that, you're 15 meters behind where you actually are, or 15 meters ahead of you. So, or left or right. So it just kind of like tricks you and tells, with an arrow, it just shows you have to go that way and that way.
Mm.
No, it's not that way, this way. So I was like kind of, getting confused all the time, and ended up going in circles. So that was the biggest issue. So, but I mean, the GPS worked.
You also had a compass, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Now, that's an interesting story about the compass.
Yeah, I mean, I thought compass is the most reliable out of the two, right? Because a compass, it just works anywhere, and which it did. But like, I was using it for some time, and then I changed position I just went from one end to the other end, or I changed the side on the raft. And then suddenly I see the compass needle just back. It just turned the other and showed me the other direction. I thought, what the hell is going on? Actually, you had seen films, right? I guess, like, old films where, pilots, they put some I don't know, some object near the compass, and then it gives a false reading, and they end up crashing somewhere in the Pacific or wherever. It just came to my mind. My God, this is happening to me. But at the end of the day, I am here, and if I hadn't faced any of those problems, I don't think we would be here chatting, right?
Mm. Wow. I mean, I often talk about this in this podcast with other people that come on who've done trips or faced adversity. Like, everybody has a story, don't they? But I get people on here to talk about their story, whether that's through travel, whether that's through something they've endured in life or something they've achieved in life or whatever. But everyone has a story, and for me, what sets those kind of people who achieve or attain a greatness, or they do what most people either haven't, wouldn't, or couldn't, is that they never give up. And that's something I always say: never give up. It's like, very few times do you ever go, that's my goal, and you just go straight to your goal. That never, if ever, happens. There's always roadblocks along the way. There's always failings. There's always something will happen. And what sets the person aside who actually makes it is that they don't stop. They figure out a way around that roadblock, that they figure out a solution to that issue, and they just keep doing that again and again and again, and then they might fall back down again. They've got to walk back up that ladder, and then they'll fall down again, and then they'll figure a way out round this gap, over that hill, through that tunnel. They just figure it out, don't they? And they keep going. Don't ever stop. Never give up. And I mean, this film, folks, I cannot recommend it enough. It really gives you a lust for life and what's the word? It reaffirms, travel for me reaffirmed my faith in people. It reaffirmed my faith in humanity, because you very quickly realize that people are good. Most people out there are good. They'll help you. It doesn't matter where they live, what language they speak, what faith they follow, what colour they are. It doesn't matter. Everybody's the same like us. They want to look after family. They want to get on with their lives. And if they can help you, they will. And I just love that about travel. I wish everybody travelled so they could experience it. And they don't live in this climate of fear, which seems to get rammed down our necks via the media here in the Western world. And your trip really exemplified that. I mean, it was beautiful. Things from like, even before you set sail, locals that you met helped build the raft. They helped fabricate parts for free. They wouldn't take payment for it. They just wanted to be involved. And that seemed to happen all through this trip, including the army and the police that you met. And I mean, you were an illegal immigrant,
as an illegal,
weren't you? In Colombia at one stage, and they didn't care. They helped.
Yes, yeah. This is why I live this life the way I do right now. It is all thanks to my travelings. It's we most of the time are so concentrated on the negative aspects of things.
Yeah.
Because I think, we find that intriguing. I don't know if it's because we find it intriguing, or is it because we are fearful? But if you start traveling around the world, you don't even have to travel around the world. If you just look around the place where you're living, you would find a lot more humanity in people than negative things.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Again and again, I've been helped, in wonderful ways, not only in these countries, faraway countries, or I'm not talking about Sri Lanka, India, or wherever. Also in the Western civilization, like in the US or in Canada. I can tell you one wonderful story where I was looking for this time. This was when I first arrived in Canada, and I had just started my journey towards Alaska. So I wasn't really sure about camping regulations. So I went to a local library to get internet, and to find out about camping regulations. So all of a sudden, an elderly gentleman, he stood by me, and he said, "Is that motorcycle yours?" I said, "Which motorcycle?" And he said, "That big BMW." I said, "Yes." And then, he was very enthusiastically, he started talking, asked me 1,000 questions. And then he asked me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for, I'm getting to know about camping regulations in Canada." And he said, "Where are you going to sleep tonight?" I said, "I don't know." And he says, "I'm going to work right now, and I'll be back at 5 o'clock in the afternoon." And he gave me his house key. Yeah. And he wrote down the Wi-Fi password, and he said, "Go home and wait until I come. My wife is also at work. She will also be back home at 5 o'clock." And I mean, these are just complete strangers.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, when you're living in your own little village or town or wherever, and if you happen to meet someone, would you trust a person?
No, you wouldn't, would you? You just wouldn't. But I believe you 100%. I had the same thing happen to me in Costa Rica. An American guy met me at a petrol station and asked the same thing. He saw my motorcycle, asked where I was sleeping, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. And he was like, "Look, here's my directions to where my house is," and it was literally up a dirt track on top of a mountain. And he was like, "Just it's open. Just help yourself. Make yourself at home. Help yourself to the fridge. I've got to go into the city, but I'll be back about 5-6 o'clock." And I ended up staying there. partying with this guy and his friends for like 3 days in Costa Rica. It was incredible. But it's all stuff like this, isn't it? When you're on an adventure like that, when you're traveling, you probably wouldn't do that in your normal life. Certainly before traveling, some random says, "Come back to my place." You what's going on here? But when you're traveling, you do, and that's when the adventures all start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have plenty of such stories. How people have helped you. I remember the first time when I discovered Google Translate. That was 2012.
Yeah.
I was looking for an internet cafe, and I came to this big shopping mall. It was in Mexico, right? So I was still on the motorcycle, and there was the gentleman waiting for somebody or whatever. He was he was just waiting. So I asked him, "Excuse me, do you know where I can find internet? I need Wi-Fi." And he didn't speak English. So he said, "Wait a minute." And then he made a phone call to somebody, and he hung up. And then he said, he just signed, he said, wait, with his hand. So I was just waiting for a few seconds. And then he gets an SMS. And then he showed it to me. So the SMS read, "I will take you to internet, follow me."
Wow.
Right? So he just got into his car and he drove a couple of kilometers, and we came to this Pizza Domino place, right? Yeah. Pizzeria. And he happened to be the manager of that place, right?
Yep.
So he said, "Sit down," and he gave me the password, and and then he brought his laptop, and we started. He said, "Let's talk." And I said, "How?" And then he opened up Google Translate, and we chatted, I think, probably a couple of hours long. And he gave me a pizza for free, and it was, really wonderful. But at the end of the day, he asked me, "Where are you going to sleep?" I said, "I don't know. I have to find a place to pitch my tent." And he said, "No, I will take you to a hotel." I mean, this guy, he lived quite close by, but I think, his house was too small or whatever. And he said he wants to get me a room, a hotel room. I said, "No, I don't want a hotel room." He said, "No, I will take no for an answer. I will not take no for an answer," he said. So he took me to a hotel room, and he paid for it. And, it's incredible. I mean, this is just a one of many, many, many stories. So,
absolutely.
I came to realize that nowadays, we are so polarized, politically, whatever, everybody has an opinion. But they are nothing but opinions. But once you meet the real people out there, doesn't matter whether they are conservatives or Democrats or, whoever. I have met people from both sides, even criminals, even, people who are working for armed forces, police. You would think, when you think about Colombia, especially a place like Colombia, how corrupt the police is, or Panama. I was on an illegal journey, right? I think the Panamanian authorities, they did not want to let me go, so I basically did
a runner,
ran away in the night with my raft. So even when once I had some encounters with the police, they knew that I was up to no. I mean, I was on an illegal journey, and they didn't try to make my life a difficult one. It was so amazing. Once when my motorcycle was broken down, and I came to San Miguel, this fishing village on this island. Police, they literally fed me from the morning till the evening, and and they just helped me wherever they could. So it was incredible, and you saw nothing about corruption. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I learned so much about people and psychology, and how people react to you when you give them the impression that you're blindly accepting them. You blindly trust them.
Yes.
The people look at you. They feel that. They feel this guy is no threat. This guy doesn't have any hidden agendas. He's just a normal, ordinary guy. So I have never been robbed. I have never been stolen. I traveled more than 200,000 kilometers around the world. And when I first experienced a robbery,
back home
in Switzerland. Well, it wasn't a robbery. My camera bag got stolen on a train. That was
I was the same on my trip. The first thing to actually be stolen was when I finished my trip. One of the last places I went was the Isle of Man for the TT, the road race. I sort of it timed that I happened to be coming back from Ireland when the TT was on, so I stopped at the Isle of Man, and I've gone all the way around the world, a year and a half. I get to the Isle of Man, staying in a biker's campsite, and someone stole my tank bag with my tools in it.
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? You're almost home, and then it happens. There was something that I remember seeing in the film about San Miguel. Is when you met the old chap called was it Alberto? Yes, Alberto.
Alberto, yes.
72-year-old, and you said something really quite profound. You said there's always someone worse off than you, because you felt like you were at your lowest almost at that point.
Yeah,
and then you met him.
Yeah, it is quite common to feel pity for yourself.
Yeah.
When you think you're sad and something's not going the way you expect it to go, you automatically you think, you poor you. Why is it happening to you? This whole encounter changed my mindset, and now I have come so far and ask the question the other way. When I see something, bad happening to somebody else, I ask, why not me?
Wow.
Really, it is good. I have experienced amazing things. I have experienced wonders, miracles, unbelievable kindness from people. So why is it that I get to experience all these good things, and why do others, go through hardships? I had my fair share. As a small child, when I lost my father, my father got killed by robbers for his money. That incident left a deep scar in my life. I mean, not only my life, my whole family, because my father, he was an upcoming businessman. We were quite well off when he was alive, and when he died, we became poor overnight, because we did not know. My mother did not know where he had invested his money. So basically, we lost everything. Like, imagine, we were living in a country, in a poor country, like, it was Sri Lanka. We did not have social security. There was no help from the government. There was nothing. And my mother, she wasn't, she was not educated in any trade or any, she had no skills to go and get a job. So she, she literally had to start working, immediately. And she trained herself as a seamster. She was working in a garment factory.
Yeah.
So, even then, she could not earn enough money to feed a family. But I remember, going through that, all that hardship. I remember how I have cried in the night, in the evening because of hunger. I remember that I only had like 2 pairs of shorts and 2 pairs of shirts, and even they had holes. No shoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you grew up from that environment, and then you find yourself having a great life in Europe. Everything is going so well, and it makes me realize that my childhood made me to a man what I am today. To take risks and basically push your luck. because that it is not the end, because you always find luck, and luck is something that I found again and again and again and again, because when one door closes, there's always a door opening. Like that I experience the same thing even on the Pacific Ocean. Like my GPS wasn't working, and then suddenly I find a pod of dolphins who were there to to rescue me.
It's almost that's almost Hollywood, isn't it? That's almost Hollywood. It's like you wouldn't believe that was true unless it happened to you, and it's just an incredible story.
There are, Bruce, when we wrote the book, we were very careful when we wrote, when the road ends. That's what we did. After I coming back to Switzerland, I met Martina in India, and when I got back to Switzerland at the end of my journey, we started living together, and then we started writing this book. And we were very careful not to tell too many stories and not to tell the way it happened, because it seemed so unreal. Wow. And we thought people are not going to believe it. People are not going to believe it.
That's incredible.
So we went took some stories out. No, it's too much. Nobody will believe if you tell all these stories.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm doing talks here and there, and so that I can tell these untold stories now and then.
And we will chat about the talks in a second, but I don't know if you've seen this podcast before, but the way I do it is I post up on my socials to say who the next guest on the podcast is going to be, and people then have the opportunity to leave some questions for us to chat over. Now, we've chatted for just over an hour already about your incredible journey. Are you okay for us to go through some of these questions? I'll try and be as quick as we can on this, because I don't want to keep you all night.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
right.
No problem.
Lovely. Okay. I have still loads of questions, and there's loads of things I want to chat about, but I've read through some of these questions, and people bring up similar points or topics of discussion. So we'll go through them now. Right. First off, we'll head to the clan, which is over at patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Lee Vigor. Hi, both. Hope you're all well. What was the best and the worst moment of your epic trip? Is it possible, Dylan, to pinpoint a best and a worst moment?
there are so many best moments. So I guess he was referring to the raft journey, right?
I would say, yeah, let's keep it on the raft.
Yeah. So one of the pictures that I have so vividly, when I think back, it's already like 10 years ago now, how wonderful the ocean is in the night.
Wow.
Have you ever seen that film, The Life of Pi?
Yes.
Right. Okay. In that film, The Life of Pi, you see the ocean lights up in the night. When you see fish and it's so magical. It was exactly that.
Wow, really?
Really, yes. I mean, in that film, it's a bit exaggerated. It's a bit polished up.
Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood. But when you, I swam sometimes in the night. You jump into the water, and your body becomes kind of it takes a greenish, like a neon light.
Oh, the phosphorus with the algae.
Yeah, exactly. There was so much plankton in that water. There was, some I don't know, what is that? What kind of a chemical reaction that caused it to light up like that. And sometimes, when you bang on the oil drums, so the fish get scared, and they you see like a firework underwater.
Wow.
When they swim away, you see like a firework. It's so beautiful. It's incredible. These sort of things you would never experience. If I hadn't done that adventure on the raft, I don't think I would have ever seen it. So that was one of the good things or positive things. So, and the negatives, I have to think very hard. I can't remember. I mean, my motorcycle was breaking down, the raft was breaking down oh yeah, okay. The worst thing was lack of sleep. I couldn't sleep a lot. I mean, I had to wake up probably every hour. I had a cell phone. I put the timer or the I put the alarm clock on every 2 hours. So 1 hour, it depends on, the situation. So I was constantly on the lookout for other boats and ships and, rocks and, that I might not collide with anything and go under. So yeah, that was one of the hardest things. But, looking back, as I said, I really have to think hard to find negatives, pros, and I can only think of pros, no cons.
I mean, did you not at any point feel total despair? Did you not at any point feel like I'm doomed? This is all.
Yes. When you're going through a storm, yes. I mean, even when I knew that I was lost, when I knew that there was no way I could find back land, I wasn't that scared actually. I was I was concerned because I knew that this current was dragging me in the wrong direction. But I knew that as long as I don't capsize or something bad happened to the raft, let's say a couple of drums get hit by a rock or something, and they get they start taking water in, and I would go down. And as long as that doesn't happen, I knew everything is going to be fine, because I also had enough food for a month or more. So the only concern was when the storm came. I mean, I went through 2 storms. In the film, you only see one storm because I don't have the footage, and you can't tell everything that happened on the raft. So that was pretty bad, when you see these massive big waves hitting your raft, and in the night you don't even know from which side the waves are coming. At that time, I thought, I'm going to die, and not because I would capsize, because I soon realized my raft was pretty sturdy, and it would stay afloat. But the biggest threat was the lightnings. It was lightning strikes. It was taking place like every few seconds, right around you. And I was really, really, really scared that I would get hit by lightning. At that moment, I had a what you call a swim vest. And I was wearing a life jacket. Sorry, I had a life jacket, and I was wearing that. And then you realize, oh shit! Now I have a life jacket, but what happens if I get hit by lightning? I'm going to, and I mean, it would be okay to die very quickly. I think probably if I get hit by a lightning, the chances of you not recover would be, big.
Yeah.
But what happens if you survive the lightning strike, and you're half burned, and you are still alive?
Oh.
So I was like, okay, what I want to do now is, if I get I better take my jacket off, my life jacket off, so that in case of a lightning strike, I would die very quickly.
You just fall in the water, wow,
yeah.
What a decision! What a choice to make.
Yes, it was pretty tough. I mean, but that was the choice I made. I took the life jacket off and decided that I would hold on to Bruce. By the way, Bruce
your
is
bike's
Bruce.
called Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah, my motorcycle is called. Yeah. So I was holding on to Bruce and hoping to make it. Can
I ask? Why did you call the bike Bruce? What's the connection there?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I know that I know that a lot of the other bikers, they call their motorcycles, they had given a name, but mostly like a feminine name, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, I never knew any motorcycle riders before I went on this journey. I know it might sound kind of really strange. I had no contact to any biker clubs or other adventurers, or I thought basically when I started the around the world journey, I was the only one who is traveling around the world with a motorcycle. I was so naive. I was. Yeah. So I didn't know the custom of giving, it is customary to give a female name to your motorcycle.
Yeah.
So and my motorcycle it's a huge motorcycle. I mean, compared to my size, I'm a small guy. So I thought, he's a massive big bike, so it has to have some really, tough name, like, Bruce Willis, Die Hard, who knows, So I called it Bruce. But honestly, I can't tell exactly why I called Bruce.
It's a very good name. That's all I'm going to say. It's a very good name.
By the way, I can tell you another story. I wanted to translate the book into Spanish, right? So we got hold of a writer from Mexico, and so I sent the manuscript to him. He said, please go ahead and translate my book. So after a few days, he called up. He said, Dylan, big problem. I said, what is the big problem? He just discovered that Bruce is your bike. And you can't have that. I said, why? Because in Spanish, it is de motocicleta, and it's a feminine article.
So yeah, it has to have a woman's name.
So he said, you know what we can do? We can call, we can change Bruce's name to something else, and it becomes like a love story. I said, surely not.
Bruschetta or something like that.
Bruschetta.
Nice. Right. Cheers for that one, Lee. Great question, mate. Next one, Patrick Collum. So, random question. Of all the places you've had a beer or another beverage of choice, where would you transport yourself back, either by yourself or with your beloved, and soak up a moment again just for one last time? So all the places that you've been, where would you like to go back and share that with Martina or someone else?
This world is, how beautiful this world is?
Yeah.
It's, I have spent so many beautiful moments in many places. So it's very difficult to pinpoint a place, say, that was the best time or that was the best place. So it is really, really difficult. I met Martina in India while I was on that around the world tour, and then she came and visited me in a few places. I think it was 5 times she came around the world. She started chasing me around the world. and we did have a good time in each place. Once she was in Thailand and Australia, California, Costa Rica, Argentina, but I can't think of one single place. Okay, I can tell you. Yeah, a wonderful time. Costa Rica, I would say, because we spent some days on a empty beach in Costa Rica. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the Costa Rica is the most wonderful place that I have seen. I have been to many, many, many beautiful places. Yeah. So it's too many. But with Martina, that was kind of special. Yeah,
I have an overriding memory of the desert at night, and I remember being in the Atacama Desert. I think I just crossed into Peru, Chile. Yeah. I was in Chile, definitely. I might have just be heading to Peru, but I was at the top of a mountain at night, and I remember I had to stop and fill up some fuel on my bike out of jerry can. And there were just no lights anywhere. There was just, there's no light pollution at all. And I remember looking up at the sky, and it was like a painting. When it's a beautiful, clear sky, and you could see the Milky Way. And I was just like, I have never seen so many stars in my life. It was incredible. But I had no power left in my phone. The cameras were all out of battery, so I had no way of documenting it. And I just remember looking up and just thinking, that is phenomenal. Did you see stuff like that when you were out in the ocean?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Atacama Desert is a great place to see such wonderful, starry sky, to see the Milky Way and all that. Yeah. I went through Bolivia, the salt flats, Salar de Uyuni, and then entered into Chile and tried to go to Argentina through the desert, but it wasn't a successful one. Long stories. But anyhow, Martina and I, we started living in a van in 2016. Because we were traveling around so much to promote our book, mainly in the continental Europe, in the German-speaking parts. So we, for 7 years now, we've been living in a van. So we took a trip down to Mongolia a couple of years ago, and that was unbelievable. Like, I have many photos. I have many such photos where I have taken of the Milky Way and, this starry skies. It's really incredible, like Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, all these, Central Asian countries. You get the same thing because, you don't have so much of light pollution. That is one of the main problems we have in Europe, I think. Because of the light pollution, you don't really, plus our rainy
the clouds in the sky,
rain clouds,
Mongolia is somewhere I would love to go. It's when I first decided I was going to do a trip, it's because I'd seen Long Way Round. I watched Ewan McGregor, Charlie Borman do Long Way Round and just thought, oh wow, that looks amazing. And it was Mongolia that really did it for me. So I planned to do Mongolia on my trip, but as it was, I'd snapped the rear subframe 4 times on my bike by the time I was coming through Russia and a way to head south and go into Mongolia. And I snapped it again, and I was just like, I did my trip on a sports bike, on a Suzuki GSX-R 1000, and I just thought, I'm taking that bike into Mongolia where there aren't really any roads, and I've already snapped it 4 times. I just thought, I'm pushing it. So I made the decision to carry on and just head to Vladivostok, just head east. So I missed out Mongolia, but it's been there ever since. I'm like, I've got to go back. I've got to do it.
Yeah. We are actually going to Mongolia in May because Martina, she's heavily involved with Mongolia. Like as a 23-year-old young woman, she did a backpacking tour through Mongolia with 3 other friends. And there she saw all these the poverty and suffering children on the streets and all that. And then she decided to do something about it. So when she got back, she founded this charity. It's been going. I mean, she kept it going for 20 years. So this year she's celebrating the 20th year. So we are going to make a documentary film about it. So the plan is to go to Mongolia and hire a car or probably a motorcycle and travel around a bit. But the thing is, May is a little bit still cold.
Still cold, yeah.
Yeah, they have a very short summer. It's like probably from June to August, end of August, September, and then and that's it. But that country is it's a country of extreme. When it is cold, it's extremely cold. When it's hot, it's extremely hot. Yeah. When they have a drought, it's extreme. We have seen like when we were there a couple of years ago, like hundreds or thousands of carcasses. The whole herds, they just had died due to lack of water.
Wow.
And then when it starts raining, then they have floods. It's an incredible country, but the people, unbelievable. I always said something. I love Sri Lankan food. Curry, rice and curry. I love that, and I always said, if Mongolians had the same thing, that would be the paradise on earth, because they would invite you to every Mongolian would invite you to their little tent or the ger or the yurt, whatever you call it, and they just want to show you share whatever they have with you. It's incredible, but unfortunately most of the time, I mean, all they eat is rotten mutton and
sheep and goat testicles and all that sort of stuff.
I'm sorry to say that it's they unfortunately they don't have a great kitchen, but otherwise it would be so good. The Mongolians are fantastic people, true adventurers.
Are they?
Yeah. You should see how these Mongolians travel through the desert. Like these Chinese motorcycles.
Mm.
They don't. I mean, once we saw this motorcycle, the broken down motorcycle in the desert. So I stopped and wanted to help him, and then I discovered the handlebar, the main bolt that holds the whole thing, together. I mean, he had lost his front forks, both had come off. So I saw this, this big bolt is missing, and I said, look, we better, I can help you to, you drive back along the same route you came, and we look for this bolt. And he says it doesn't bring anything because he had lost it a month ago.
So he'd been riding it all that time.
Yeah. So, I mean, still in the end, we tied it together with ropes and somehow, managed to mend it so that he could continue to the next village that was probably 50 kilometers further up the road. It's incredible. But, we'd like to call ourselves adventurous, right?
Yeah.
But you ought to see, what the Mongolians do, the way they travel and, how they, take things, security. They never heard the word security or to be saved. So, it's just unbelievable. But
it needs must,
though,
isn't it?
People.
Yeah. You find that, don't you, though, in countries where, to our eyes, people have very little, if anything. They are incredibly resourceful, aren't they? Because they can't just take it. They can't just take it down the local dealership and attach it to a computer and figure out what's going wrong. They just fix stuff. They just fix it, don't they?
Exactly. So this is also one of my shall I say, great attributes that I have. I grew up in Sri Lanka. We do exactly the same. When something is broken down, we try to repair it. And I have kept that, actually. I'm a trained car mechanic and good at engineering. So when I see things, I do it like, I did my training in Switzerland. So you got a solid training. So, physics and everything what you need to know, electronics and electrical knowledge. And it's a good combination to have. Having come from the Sri Lankan background and to work with how modern things work, and to have that knowledge, it's a great combination. When something breaks down, you can always help yourself because on one side you have a decent knowledge about a modern technology, and that adventure spirit of a Sri Lankan. I think that's what drove me further and further into the ocean, or continued towards Colombia on my raft, even when I faced so many difficulties.
Was just the desire just to keep going. Well, like whatever issues you had with the bike, you would just figure out a solution. You had to just keep making it work. Yeah.
I mean, that motorcycle broke down so many times. I couldn't keep track of how many times it broke down, how many things went wrong. Also the raft. And it also taught me a lot about patience, because you are out there on the ocean and nobody's there to help you. You can't ask any questions. You had to figure out everything by yourself. So, I mean, time I had in my hands. So you just, stripped everything down and, started looking for the problem. And it also, when the next thing broke down, I said, oh, yeah, okay, now it's this one. Okay, let's repair that. And, when that is mended, you went on to the next one. Actually, I remember so vividly, like on this particular day, it was like every 10 minutes something going wrong. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, it's only this. Okay, let's repair that. And I did that, and then goes the petrol pump, stopped working.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
that, yeah. and then the keel breaks down, and then the rudder, you repair. So it was, yeah. I mean, you stop complaining, and you just had to do whatever you had. Yeah, that's life.
Yeah. I loved the bit in the film when you're lying on the deck of the raft, trying to you're making yet another repair to your engine, and you mentioned that not only are you trying to figure out what the issue is with the bike on a moving raft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but you also could not afford to drop anything. Like we've all had a little tinker on a bike and you drop a screw, and like if it goes somewhere in the engine, you're like, oh no, or it falls on the floor, and then you're like, where did that go? Well, you've got the Pacific Ocean underneath you, and it's like big massive holes underneath your bike. I mean, that must have been you couldn't have thought too much about that, because that would just put your nerves, that would break your nerves, surely, if you worried about that.
I lost so many tools.
Really?
I lost screws. At one point, I had all my, I had some string twine with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I cut pieces of it and bound, tied all the tools onto that. Like, I had like every tool could get a string, and I fixed it onto my underpants so that I wouldn't lose it. and the funniest story, or wasn't funny at the time, you're so scared of losing things, right? So this particular day, I took off the oil cap, where you fill the oil in.
Yep.
And it was already a little bit oily, and I was like holding it so tight, no, I mustn't lose this. And then it pops out of my fingers, poof. Oh, no. It goes and disappears into the ocean. Yeah.
No.
It's just, yeah. It's so, you had to come up with something else. I don't know if you could see that I never, I think probably you will even notice it if you see it in the film, that, I don't have that, the oil cap. I had to, improvise another, like a bolt, and jam it into that hole. I don't know if that is visible at all. So
I'll have to rewatch it again and have a look.
Yeah. And also the heating, probably, I don't know if you noticed how I cooled the engine down, because it started overheating. As long as there's wind, no problem. Mm-hmm. But most of the time there was no wind. So did you not notice that there was a canister on the saddle, on the seat? I had a canister, I filled up with salt water, and then I ran 2 tubes on either side of the motorcycle, and I was just, letting it drip onto the cylinder heads to
with
cool
seawater.
With seawater, yeah.
Well, it's liquid cooled. It's the first liquid cooled.
Me.
Yeah. Wow. We've actually answered the next question during that discussion. Mutinous Mike asked about, have you always been good at fixing stuff, or is it something that you learnt along the way? But you addressed that. Okay. It's sort of something that you just grew up with and learnt. Right, next one, Debbie Clegg. Hello, Dylan. Hello, TeapotOne. How you doing, Debbie?
Hi, Debbie. Hi.
Wow, what an inspiring story. Surely dolphins must be your favourite animal after they rescued you, Dylan. That made me cry, by the way. Such a magical thing to happen. So, you and both Bruces have travelled the world on epic journeys. Now, what would you consider to be your next mission? Is the moon the only place left as a challenge? Yeah. I get asked this. What's next?
You know, I told you about why I started this journey, right? I was looking for
the answer.
For something, something that that gave me the answer to what the purpose of life. And eventually, I discovered what the purpose of life is, and that is so simple, and it's nothing but happiness. Living life and having happiness in yourself, in your heart. That is the most important thing. Nothing else. So, there aren't big plans. I don't make, and I don't think about becoming rich, becoming famous, or becoming this or that. I try to live my life the way I feel like living, and doing what I like doing. And, even sometimes if it may seem too risky, or it's too far away, or, it's hard to reach, I just go for it. And that's it. And, I don't give so much of importance to money and financial situation. I mean, these are important things. Without money, you can't do anything. You have to, work hard to earn a living, and that's what I always do. I'm not scared of work. Yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who would say, I want to win a lotto. I never buy lottery tickets, because I firmly believe that when you live, you have to work, and that's how you have to you make your life comfortable, as much as possible. But it is doing, to find your passion. What makes you happy? How what activity makes you happy? And try to make that to your livelihood. And that's that's a great way of living. I think this is what myself and Martina, my wife, we both do. Like we don't have a house. We don't even think about investing in a house. So we basically travel a lot and live very modestly. And yeah, I think I can say I'm the happiest man alive. I can honestly say that.
That's beautiful.
So when you are the happiest man alive, you don't really have plans, as such. Like, I mean, of course, we all have. Without dreams, you can't live. No, without any setting any goals, life doesn't exist. Because that's the beauty about life, that you have to it is these dreams that makes you go, make you want to live. So we do have dreams, like being happy. We like to travel, we like to do little bits and pieces, but I don't have that one magic dream. I want to achieve this, or go to the moon or Mars. I don't know. We would like to travel further and help people whenever we see we are needed. And like what Martina is doing, we talk about adventures. I like to see myself as an adventurer, but we forget that the true adventurers in this world are people like my wife Martina, who do these unseen work, unappreciated, not appreciated, not applauded, for 20 years, where she's been helping 200 kids every day for the past 20 years, and then you get an email like last year. One day she received an email and she started crying, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And then she couldn't answer me because she was so shaken, or she was so emotional. And I looked into her computer and I see one of these children in Mongolia had sent her a photograph.
Are you there? I think we've. I can't hear. Oh, right, you've just come back.
I'm lost for words. That's why.
Oh, right, no problem. No worries.
So I see this photograph, and that was a photograph of one of these children. He had graduated from the university. He's a psychologist now.
Wow. That's incredible. To give back like that is to have an impact on someone's life to that extent. That must be not only very humbling but incredibly
satisfying. Yeah,
satisfying. Yes.
So this is exactly what I say. We think about adventurers, right? So the real life adventurers are people like that.
Yeah.
Who hardly get any recognition.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of ashamed sometimes, when people think, oh, you are wow, you are my hero, and I get emails like that quite a lot actually. Praising me for what I did and all that, and I'm like, sorry, that journey I did it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just though this story has inspired many people,
yes,
into living life the way they should be living, without fear, to undertake some, venture out into the unknown. That definitely it gives courage, right? You have to, I admit that, but still, I think we put emphasis on the wrong place most of the time, and that really it bugs me sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think we need people like Martina, and that's one of the reasons why I say when we try to go somewhere, when we see people in need, we try to help out and to show our compassion as much as we can.
As an outsider, Dylan, you need to know that we need people like Martina, but we also need people like you as well. I get messages saying, I've inspired people, but you have gone to like an extreme end of just going for it. My saying is live your life. It's I smiled inside when you spoke about that, about we need to live our life, because that's what my mum said to me before she passed away from cancer. She said, you've always dreamt about travel, you've always dreamt about riding a motorbike. Make sure you do it, look after those that you love, but live your life. And that sort of catapulted me on my own adventure and has led me down the path to where I am today. And you've done something which, as I said at the start, nobody else on the planet has done. There are literally thousands of us who've ridden around the world now, and it still is quite a nice little exclusive club. But there's thousands of us, and it's something that the vast majority of people out there, if they have the mindset to do, they can achieve, they can do it, they can go for it, they can accomplish that.
Yeah.
I really don't know anyone else that would do what you did and have the strength of mind to see it through the extent that you did. I mean, you were literally in tears when the end came and you'd reached Colombia and you had to get off the raft. That really struck me and touched me, that you appreciated the journey still at that point after 60 days at sea and everything that you'd gone through, that you still appreciated how magnificent that journey had been, not as in look what I've done, but as in what it had given you and the lessons it had taught you.
Absolutely. I think
that's a very humble thing to do. That's a very humble thing. That's a very beautiful character trait.
Whenever I have seen this film probably 200 times, even while making. Yeah. I can tell you, it touches me even now. If I would watch this film, it would make me cry. That's how much of impact it had on me. This journey. It was, and in the end, you rightly noticed. I had gone through a storm, and somehow or rather I managed to reach a safe land, and I came to Ardita, and you see my emotions, how sad I was. It wasn't a man who was like cheering. Yeah. Wow, I made it. I'm alive. I'm glad to be back on land. It wasn't that, right? It was like I was so upset because I enjoyed that so much. I think I spent like 8 or 9 days in Ardita, and I was crying nearly every day.
Wow.
That the journey was over. It was such a fantastic journey. I think that's exactly why I say, if you want to experience wonders, you have to do the impossible.
Yeah. I love that saying. Right, we have 4 more questions. Do you have time for them?
Okay.
Yeah, you okay with that?
Go ahead. Yeah,
right.
Quickly.
Yes. Next one, Jason from Cleethorpes. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Jason.
You've both inspired and taught me to take on life's challenges with a different mindset that is positive and optimistic. Thank you for that. My question, how did you decide what rations to take with you on the raft, and were you concerned about running out of water at any time?
I took 150 liters of water. I only calculated. I thought I would reach Colombia in a fortnight, and I had no idea what rations to take, really. So I took some rice and some noodles, and noodles which I was, those instant noodles where you can. So I took plenty of those. I took lots of like canned fish, fruit and stuff. So I didn't really calculate how much food I need. I just took whatever I had and whatever I was able to accommodate, because my raft was only 10 oil drums. Right. And I had a motorcycle plus, a sail and all that.
And the metal frame,
I couldn't take unlimited supplies with me. And also, you have to carry petrol. So I had 250 liters of petrol as well. But the petrol was the biggest problem, because I had no idea how, what the consumption would be on the water. Because I calculated like a motorcyclist, thinking I could do with my motorcycle 100 kilometers, 5.5 liters. Colombia is 800 kilometers away, so probably it'll use up like twice as much.
Wow!
That night I was.
But how far off were you?
I think probably like 10 times.
Wow.
But the good thing is, if I were to build a second raft, I know how to build it better.
Love it. You're such an optimist. I love it. You see the benefit in everything, don't you? The positive in everything. Right, next one. Matt Thompson. Hi, both. I hope tricks are good. Wow, what a film.
Hi,
what
Matt.
a journey. So many questions, but I'll just ask this one. Did you drop anything in the sea? Well, obviously, you dropped tools and parts from the engine.
I dropped a lot of things, a lot of tools, a lot of parts, and the first thing I dropped, you know what? What was that?
Go on.
The very first thing that I dropped, we started off from along the Panama Canal, and we drove the raft to the open sea.
Mm-hmm.
My mud guard, the front mud guard, it just fell into the water and then disappeared. So we spent like half an hour looking for it. I mean, it had gone down, and we thought, it would be floating because it was plastic, but we couldn't find the blessed thing. So that was the first thing I lost. And after that, I lost many things. I lost also my mobile phone. While going to pick, pluck coconut on an island, and it's too many things.
Oh, wow. I love that. You were more concerned about your mud guard.
So that was the first thing, and,
Right.
and you try to you make an effort to look, find it. And that was a good lesson, because I knew the next time when I lose something, I don't waste time looking for it.
Love it. Love it. Move on. It's in the past. Yeah. Nice one. Right, next one. Dave Martin. I must admit, I was thinking of changing my bike for a GS, but after seeing Dylan's, after 3 years of global travelling and seawater being poured over the engine as coolant, the shine had come off the engine barrels. I think that German quality is not as hyped up as it used to be. He's been a bit sarcastic there. Dylan, huge respect for your resilience against adversity and your unbelievable positivity. Your ability to see beauty everywhere is inspiring. Off camera, when you were drifting into the Pacific, was there a moment when you thought that you were not going to make it back? And what kept you going during that time? Good luck with your Y-front modelling career.
By the way, I still have those underpants.
Really?
Yeah. I still have them.
I hope you washed them.
Yeah. So was there two questions, or there's only one, right?
He said, was there a moment when you thought you're not going to make it back, and what kept you going at that point?
I was so confident that I would end up somewhere. Of course, obviously, my target was Colombia, but once I realized I wasn't going that way, I knew, okay, next stop Galapagos. But of course, you had to be pretty lucky to land in Galapagos, and I was getting worried about Galapagos because you had to have a permit to go there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you had to have a permit, and I was worrying about that permit more than.
Really?
Yes, I was. I mean, I have video clips which I have not used. I remember seeing that. Like I was kind of thinking, telling myself, oh yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do, when the Galapagos, the police or the army or whoever, they capture me without a permit. But of course, you had to be pretty lucky to, land on Galapagos.
To hit Galapagos, yeah.
Because, they were only, tiny little islands when you're drifting 1,000 odd kilometers.
Wow.
And the chances that you miss them is really great, because when you're 10 kilometers off the coast, you don't see land anymore. If there are big high mountains, yes, that's you can still go, but probably 20 kilometers you don't see land anymore. So imagine, you're drifting past Galapagos. The Galapagos Islands, I don't think, they don't have any mountains there. So chance of seeing Galapagos and trying to, make it into one of those islands, it would be quite slim. But anyhow, I knew that, I would, if I would miss Galapagos, I would drift towards probably Hawaii or Brazil, wherever, because that current would be going that way. Yeah. No, I think yes, there is something to it. When people call me optimist, probably I was.
Wow.
I can tell you another story. I was like worrying about storms, right? When the first storm hit, that was before the dolphins came, which you won't find in the film. I was like worrying, what is going to happen now if I capsize? Because these huge waves were really, really huge.
Yeah.
And I was like telling myself, okay, if it capsizes, then I would be, it would be even in a more stable position, because in that case I would have a keel, motorcycle as the keel. It would happen for the second time.
I love it. The eternal optimist. Right. Last question. Mike Phillipson. Hi, guys. Wow. I watched Dylan's film last night, and what a fantastic adventure and inspiring story, and a beautifully made film too. Amazing you and the GS survived all those days at sea. I've sailed offshore in the comfort of yachts, and I can't begin to imagine how vulnerable you must have felt at times. My question, have you solved the meaning of life? And if so, please let us know. Well, we discussed this, haven't we?
I think we have already discussed this now. Yeah, I have found the meaning of life. That is to be happy wherever you are. I mean, you think happiness is something that you will find somewhere out there, but happiness comes most of the time from within. It comes from within when you accept your situation. If you can accept wherever you are, whatever, I think people can be very happy. I think the vast majority of us can be incredibly happy when you know how much you would give. I can ask a question. How much would you give in order to keep your pinky, the little finger? How much would you give? How much would you sacrifice to keep your little finger? How much would you sacrifice to keep 5 fingers? How much would you sacrifice to keep a whole hand or your legs? I think, vast majority of us, we all have these things, right? We take that for granted. We think that, rather than being disappointed or being sad for what we don't have, think about what we have.
Appreciate what you do. Yeah,
I think
be content with what you have.
Exactly. I think everything else is just a bonus. I think I think we human beings, we have to think about life that way. I think we have to think about the positives first. Or count your blessings as you would say, in your part of the world. I think we are constantly on the lookout for how to improve life, or what can we do to make our lives happier and happier and happier. More. Yeah, exactly. So when we have a Yamaha, you're dreaming about a BMW. Once you have the BMW, I think you dream about a KTM, or when you have an Audi. I'm upsetting some bikers here.
I'm just saying it because
I'm not a fan of.
All right, it's just I have like an ongoing battle. It's a friendly battle, but I have an ongoing sort of battle with friends who have KTMs who say their bike's the best, and I'm always saying the GS is the best. So there's like to and fro all the time between us. They'll love that. They will love that. You just to finish this Dylan. Sorry, go on. Sorry, there's a delay there. Apologies.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not a fan of any particular brand. One of the reasons why I bought my motorcycle, the BMW, was because I was too lazy to lubricate the chain. So the BMW with a shaft, I thought, So that was the prime reason why I bought that thing, actually. Otherwise, it wasn't because I thought it's a fantastic motorcycle, which proved to be a great motorcycle. But anyhow, I think I answered that question.
Absolutely.
So yes, I did find happiness. I found a great partner. Martina and I, we are incredibly happy. I think, there's something that we tell each other, very often, really, like probably every day, how happy we are.
Beautiful.
It's, when you have that happiness in your heart, I think, you don't need anything else. But of course, we do have dreams. We have plans. We like to travel more. We like to see things. But I think we just take step by step. Each day is a new day, and we accept it as it is, and that's how we should live as human beings. So
I'm into that.
That was the answer.
I'm into that. You say something at the end of the film, which, I mean, your story in your film it's full of beautiful sayings that you come up with, like philosophies that pearls of wisdom, we call them here in the UK. Just beautiful things that you say, and you finish the film with, when the road ends, you can build your own raft, and I love that. I think that is such a perfect and beautiful philosophy on life, isn't it? There's always a way.
I think this raft journey is not just a journey. It is a life journey, actually. I have come to learn about so much about life during that raft journey. So we tend to do whenever we encounter problems in life, we try to take the easy route out. Like, when the difficulties are there, when we have dreams, we think, okay, that's it. I'm at the end, and now I have to turn back and look for it somewhere else. And we forget to build that raft because we have too much fear in our hearts or our minds, and we think only about the negative things. When we venture out into something risky, it's because we have this this fear of failing, because failing is such a traumatic thing in our society. Actually, I see it differently. You never fail. As long as you do something, and if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, it's you haven't failed. You have learned something new.
Absolutely.
And you have gained something extraordinary. You can you as a person who you can't, when you see the same situation somebody else is in, you can give an advice, not an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it becomes an opinion, right? If you think, I think it will not work, and then you can say, no, I know that it will not work because I went through that and I learned it. So this is so I think we should stop thinking about failures. Though Colombia or Buenaventura was my destination, I wanted to reach Buenaventura with my raft. But once I got going, it became secondary. I did not have to prove anything. I did not have to go to Buenaventura. I knew that, I would come to Buenaventura, and even without my raft, I would come there somewhere else. But the good thing was, while going on the raft, I experienced something, extraordinary things, and that really enriched my life. So I think, whenever you have plans and you want to do something, think about it. Am I scared about failings, or am I going to, get on this raft and enjoy the journey and see something great? And once this thing doesn't work out, something else will happen. Somebody the dolphin will come to guide me, and or this other boat. Remember when I was broken down and I had nowhere to go?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a fishing boat came. They told me
to the resort,
to the safer water, to obey. And I experienced this again and again and again and again. The most dangerous thing, where I have experienced in my life?
What's that?
I tell you, that was on a German Autobahn, on a German motorway.
Right.
I had my wife and I, we had a crash like 5 years ago.
Oh wow!
A guy, he wanted to kill himself, so he turned around his car and he just aimed at us.
No.
Yeah, he had written a letter and he wanted to. So imagine, when your time is up, it's up.
I am a firm believer of that. Absolutely, yeah.
On that occasion, 2 other people died. This. If you see the pictures of how our car looked like, it's just incredible how we survived that accident. It's incredible.
Not your time. Not your time.
So it's, forget about trying to, play it safe. There's nobody in this whole freaking world met with the safe death.
Exactly. Yeah. No one's getting out of this alive, are we? So live your life. Live your life.
It's not a safe way to die.
Beautiful. What a great way to end this, I think, Dylan. I could chat to you for hours, mate, but I appreciate you giving me over 2 hours of your time here. So thank you so much for joining us on this.
You're welcome.
Before we go, please, if you have websites, if you have like speaking tours, if you have anything like that you want to plug, promote, please feel free.
Yes, I will be at the ABR festival in June.
Awesome, I'll see you there.
I'm showing the film there, and I'm also doing a couple of talks at the festival. And I'm also guiding a guided motorcycle tour in Sri Lanka every year in January. So if anybody feels like riding with me in my homeland, we do a lot of off-roading, and we ride through jungles and wild elephants, without going to safaris in jeep. Great food, and of course, a great company. So we just came back actually.
I'm loving the sound of that, Dylan. I'll be on that. Where do people go to find out about that?
So I think
No problem.
Ride to explore.ch or com. And of course, I'm not organizing that. I have a tour operator in Germany who is organizing it. So I'm only doing the ground or the guiding and enjoying the trip with you guys. So I'll love to see you when you come, if you come. And what else do I have to promote? I mean, look out for my talks. I think I try to do a couple of talks in England. And if anybody wants to invite me to, whatever, I have great stories to tell, inspire you. I don't want to impress people. I just want to inspire.
And you do, mate.
So yeah, I think that's basically it.
So people just head straight to your website, and that's where they can find out about your tours, find out about your talks, and also contact you if they want to invite you somewhere to a club or to do a talk presentation, all that sort of stuff. Lovely. Yeah. Well, folks, exactly. I will leave all the details down below. So if you're listening to the podcast, check out the show notes. And if you're watching the video, have a look at the description down there and make sure you check out the website. But first and foremost, there will be a link for this film on YouTube. You have to watch it. Honestly, folks, it's about an hour and a half. I'll go as far as to say it's probably going to be life-changing for a lot of you when you watch it. It will give you a different way, a different outlook on life, and hopefully a different way of thinking about a lot of things. It is an incredible story. Dylan, thank you so much, mate, for joining me. I feel humbled and honoured that you've shared some time with me, and I look forward to seeing you and Martina at the ABR.
Yep. Thank you very much. Yes. See you then.
Awesome. Right, folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Pretty special. Keep doing your thing. Look after those that you love, but get on out there and live your life. Ooh-ha!